Hello, and welcome to Unity Church on the Mountain, on the road. Today I'll be speaking about detachment. But before we begin, let us affirm together the opening statement. There is only one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God. And in honor of all of the children in our life and the child within each of us, let us affirm together our children's blessing. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We accept you just the way you are. Walk in beauty. You are divine. So let us take a deep breath together, pausing from whatever is on the mind and just allowing. So breathing deeply and releasing. And now we affirm together our Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And continue to breathe. And with each breath, allow your body to relax. And as the body relaxes, the mind becomes more still. We become a little closer to the silence. We move inward, leaving behind any stress from the day, anything that may be lingering from the day before, and just relax. Present in this moment. And pause for just a small period of silence. And as we come out of the silence, let us feel grateful. Thankful for nothing in particular, because our gratitude does not depend on what is outside of us. Just grateful. And in this feeling of gratitude, we say thank you, and so it is. Amen. And I said I would speak about detachment. So I want to start with a Bible verse from Matthew. I'm reading from the Lamsa translation of the New Testament. It is Matthew chapter 6. And it begins with verse 19 and continues with verse 20. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures buried in the ground, a place where rust and moth destroy, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves a treasure in heaven, where neither rust nor moth destroy, and where thieves do not break through and steal. So to paraphrase that, just to say it in different words, we're not to build up our treasure or place what we value in this world where things are transitory and are constantly changing. This is the relative world, and it is the world of change. But no, to place our value, to give our attention and our love to another world, the absolute world, the kingdom of heaven where things do not change, where no one can break in and steal. We place our attention on the kingdom of heaven, which is within us. Now, what has that got to do with detachment? When I look in the dictionary about detachment, there's several definitions. With an army background, you might say a detachment is a small group of men that is removed from a larger group for a specific purpose. In fact, that is very close to what the main definition is. A detachment is something that has been separated out. It has been removed from the one thing that it used to be. That sounds a lot like separation, not oneness. So why are we talking about detachment when we speak about our spiritual growth? I think that in this case, Webster's dictionary is maybe not the best place to go for a definition of what we mean by detachment in the spiritual sense. So to think about detachment, let's first look at attachment. When we put our attention on something over and over again, when we find that our mind has become attached to something, we look at our consciousness, we become aware of ourselves, and we find that our attention is on something. Again and again, something that does not lead us closer to that presence within us, then you could say that we are attached to that thing. It may be an idea. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you look within yourself, when you find that you are attached or giving your attention to something outside yourself, there is a thought, an idea behind that attachment that is the root. It is what is really what your mind is really attaching itself to. Detachment is releasing our reliance, our dependence, removing our attention from this idea, this whatever is at the root of the attachment to the physical thing. I'm going to give you an example. Before I accepted the position as spiritual leader at Unity on the Mountain, some of you knew me, and my beard would have covered up my cross, and my hair would have been down past my shoulders. And my hair was an important thing to me. But was that what I was? Was I really attached to my hair? Or was there something inside that was getting my attention, that was manifesting itself on the outside as this hair that was there. I saw myself, my identity, who I thought I was, and that was dependent upon all this hair. In fact, as I began to explore my shadow, I gave a name to a personality or a persona, let's say, an aspect of myself that really fits this description. I gave this persona the name James, thinking of James Dean, the rebel, because that's really what it was. It was being something that was outside of the normally accepted image of what a person is in our society. So there was this idea inside of me, part of my shadow self, that I gave the name James to, thinking of James Dean, the actor from the movie Rebel Without a Cause. Because this personality, James, wanted to be different, wanted to rebel against what was the accepted behavior, and it manifested outwardly in one example being my hair. As I acknowledged my calling, I had to look closely within myself. And I had to look at my outside of myself to see what someone else would see when they looked at me. And so I cut my hair. In fact, it needs to be cut again. But that's not the point. The point is, what I thought was an outer attachment, which was to my hair, turns out to be an inner attachment. So I didn't detach from my hair, even though my hair was detached from my body. The detachment was from this inner persona that I'm calling James. And so I search now for what a good definition would be of detachment in the spiritual sense. What is it that we mean when we say we should be detached? So when I first heard that word, I was much younger in my spiritual growth. And I thought that it meant removing myself from society. Maybe that was James coming through again. Maybe it was just my fiveness of wanting to be solitary, of wanting, really wanting to be alone. But that's beside the point now. I thought this detachment, for whatever reason, meant that I should remove myself from society. And I had this idea come to me several times throughout my spiritual growth to leave this society and become a monastic, to dedicate myself to that spiritual path with fellow brothers and leaving the whole society, the world, money, all of these concepts of ownership behind. Focusing on one thing, and that being spiritual growth, that being realizing the presence of Source, the presence of Spirit within me. And I thought that was the way. I decided, well, I don't have to join a monastery to do that. I can basically be a recluse and do the same thing right here in my home. And I gave it a try for a while. All I did was go to work, go to the store if I needed something, and be at home. But what I found was it didn't really help me that much, because there was plenty going on that I remained attached to. In other words, detaching myself in this symbolic way didn't really help me to detach from the distractions that were coming, the things that were the things that were distracting me from keeping my attention on Source. The things that were throwing me off my center. In fact, you might say that it almost had the opposite effect. When I found a spiritual community where I could receive that love, that support, and where I could give, perhaps even more important than receiving this love and support, was giving it to others. Being there with a smile, showing up and seeing face to face, eye to eye, and just sharing the energy of the moment with others who were also there for the same thing. One day, one member of the community may need a little help up, a boost in that vibration. And when we gather together, it's like we bring our collective to that higher vibration just by our big love, by just sharing being who we are in the moment. So by finding that spiritual community, even though it seems like an attachment, was really more of a detachment than isolating myself, which is more the standard definition of detachment, which is separating from the whole. So that brings us again, what does it mean when we say spiritual detachment? Could it be that detachment is doing what you know is right, without regard for the consequences or the outcome? I'm gonna say that statement one more time. Could detachment be doing what you know is right, without regard for the consequences or the outcome? Detachment. We know what's right. We can look within. We activate our discerning power. And we know. We may argue against it. We may justify some other action. But in our heart of hearts, we know what is the right thing. We know what is ours to do. Detachment is doing it without regard to what's going to happen because we do it, without regard to its perceived success or failure. So having given that definition, when we begin to practice detachment, the suggestion is, like any other spiritual practice, begin with the small things. Begin with the things that aren't huge. Don't start with the one thing that has just been huge in your life and you really want to detach from it. Begin with smaller things. Just look for opportunities Ask Spirit to help you with gentle and easy lessons. And the opportunities will arise. They will come, and you will have the chance then to practice this detachment. It looks very much like the welcoming practice. It begins by finding where is it in my body that I feel this attachment. Give it a name. Sit with it for a while. Realize that it is a part of me. It is a part of that oneness which is Spirit. Release that to Spirit. And then check in with the body again. Are you back to center? Or is there something else? Is there something else that's pulling you from center? Maybe there's something a little deeper inside. And follow that line and repeat the welcoming practice. So you see what we're doing here. We're practicing the welcoming practice again, and we're practicing follow the line. If you want a little more about the welcoming practice or following the line, look on our Unity Church on the Mountain YouTube channel. And you'll see that there are several talks that have been given in a series, beginning with the one titled Welcoming Practice. I really like how Spirit works like this. This idea comes, and then all of these other things begin to come to consciousness in support of it. So if it pleases you, become a little more still and allow these thoughts to digest in your unconscious mind. We've taken in some ideas through our consciousness, and we're going to allow them to percolate. Just sitting with these ideas. I would like to sing you a song. It's one that I wrote quite some time ago. It's called Traveling on My Way. And I wrote the song when I thought I might detach from society by becoming a hobo. And just walking the roads and singing my songs. As you can see, I didn't follow that way, just like I didn't go to the monastery. I was sitting on a park bench one day and I asked for guidance. And Spirit clearly told me that the resources that I have available to me while I continue to work within society are so much greater for my spiritual growth than what I would have without that and without the support of others. So I'll share the song, and it'll go out on the internet, and the whole world can hear it. It's called Traveling on My Way. Waves roll on in the oceans of sound. The wheel keeps turning and going around. Silently hearing the sound in the field. Listen for truth, the truth of the wheel, while you're walking along by the side of the road, singing this song is the key to the code, righting a wrong in the course of the day. Singing this Destiny sings in the song that you hear. Whispers of wisdom fall on your ear, but making believe and pretending to know. A wolf in sheep's clothing keeps blocking the flow while you're walking along by the side of the road, singing this song is the key to the code, righting a wrong in the course of the day, singing this song, traveling on your way. Problems arise on this bumpy old road, struggling to choose and to carry the load, but hear the birds sing in their free-hearted song. Sing it yourself for all the day long while you're walking along by the side of the road, singing this song is the key to the code, righting a wrong in the course of the day, singing this song, traveling on your way. Traveling on your way. And as we travel on our way, let us remember, as we affirm together our prayer for protection, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much for listening.